Wait. I didn't do the thing. You had to turn this thing off and back at me. Oh, I had a kitty on my lap, but you know. So I decided to use this filter because I noticed that I do this really weird, like, it's become my, oh, life is sad filter. And I really enjoy, it's such a pretty filter. It shouldn't be used just for that. So anyway, okay, so news. I'm having to keep track of things on my phone because I have I have news. So I just, like, literally at 4 o'clock this morning launched Each One Fund One, the fundraising campaign, and we already have our first donation. We had our first donation hours ago. I was checking, I was trying to, like, because I've been so, like, slow to set things up, like monthly giving things and rewards and stuff like that, that I just hadn't done it. And so I was here this morning, you know, finishing up, doing the finishing touches on the campaign. And I thought, well, you know, I have the campaign as a template. I can just maybe use that for some of the monthly giving or the one-time gifting sort of situations as well, like what kind of rewards. And I looked, so I hit the donations page on tab on accident, and then I look and I see a name and I see money come in, and I'm like, we just started. How is this possible? So yay, and thank you for the support. Deeply appreciated. Also sold the first mug. I have a friend who actually, she got to drink out of the prototype. And she was like, you know, as soon as you finish with the design, I want one as soon as they go on sale. So she got hers, and she also left a $10 donation, which I really appreciated. So I thought I would come on and just kind of say thank you for the support this week again. And also I'm very excited that things are looking up. And I wanted to give you kind of a peek behind the curtain as to what all I'm doing right now. And I had to make a list. So Each One Fund One was an idea that I basically came up with last week, for me personally, because I just recognized that I've seen other Black women find themselves in the situation of, like, and I've done it, and I've also been there. I've also been that Black woman, finding ourselves in a situation of going, okay, well, you know, as soon as they start to understand, you know, how that is important to pay, people will pay. And I'm just realizing that people don't really think about it that way. They're not really thinking about the amount of time that you spend preparing. They're not thinking about the energy that goes in to holding the space and managing your emotions along with the emotional reactions of everybody in the space, if you're doing group things, and managing the emotional reactions of people that you're doing one-on-one things with. And they don't really think about that. They don't recognize that is like therapeutic work. I am not a shrink. I am not a psychologist. I am not a mental health professional. But the work I do is definitely therapeutic. In that it helps people find peace of a kind. So I have my rate, which is $200 an hour. Now I quote my rate to just about everybody. Every once in a while I check it out and I say $150, but I've not been paid my rate ever. And so I was thinking about that, and I was just thinking of, like, I hate coming on and begging for money when I think about, like, how much money is already sort of on the table, if I think about what it would have been like to even get half. Because basically, the video that I talked about, where I talked about how much of my effort has gone in a monetary sense, I really only counted about half of it. I was extremely conservative in my estimates. And when you're in that situation, the idea of like coming to ask people for money is extremely painful. So I decided, and I also recognize too that this is the way that I work makes people mad, and then it makes them not want to pay me. And I think there's a lot of people what I've recognized about this work is, in order to do it the way it needs to be done, nobody really wants to pay you for it, because you are making them so uncomfortable that they almost feel like they're paying you in discomfort, and they're paying you by staying around. And they're also like mad at you, and so they don't want to give you anything anyway. Sometimes, at various times in the process. And then you get through that time period and people start to like really kind of, the education starts to coalesce. It's one of the reasons why I love the fact that there are so many of us doing this work in so many different ways, because I may not be the educator for you, but it might turn out that, Portia is definitely the educator for you, or White Woman Whisperer is definitely the educator for you, or Cowgirl is definitely the educator for you. I might not be the one, or someone who's wandered over from one of their spaces because there was some disconnect cognitively for them there. I might be the one to kind of, help get the ball over the yard line. I don't even know what I'm talking about. I don't understand football. I'm talking like I know anything about sports. And so last week I started thinking about Each One Fund One just as a way to get myself paid. But honestly, if it works, then it could be a great way to get everybody paid. If I'm presenting it to people as an opportunity to help, as a way of helping people learn about how to have these conversations in a more healthy way, and not they themselves need it, but other people need it, that perhaps it would be easier for people to find funding. And also some of the rewards I'm offering offer the opportunity to benefit from some of the educational materials, including, time and space with me. So I came up with that idea, and I didn't really, it was just like a flippant thing to say on a video. And then I kept thinking about it, I'm like, girl, you have like a nonprofit project. You're fiscally sponsored. People could be sending you money and, writing it off of their taxes. Maybe we should give this another thought. And so between this week and last week, created a fundraising campaign. I'm also working on creating a Skillshare class for people who are just learning to talk to people of other races about race. It's kind of like a how to get it wrong before you get it right primer. And I thought it'd be cool to put that on, something like that on Skillshare. We have lost a lot of like when it comes to what's the word I'm looking for, social skills. So it's particularly complicated, I think, sometimes for younger folks and for older folks in different ways. Writing a Medium article, which is actually the first chapter of a book I'm writing on, which deals with issues of race and marginalization and power on institutional levels, because I feel like I have a fix for it. There are so many fixes out there, and every one of them has value. It's just this is the one that came into my head. Fundraising campaign, the men's workbook, which will be made interactive. And I've been learning all about making Instagram stories and reels.